Hello everybody, Boyd here with you again, and we're here with another update on our Ford GT model kit. This is the kit that we're building from DeAgostini Models. For more information about how to order one of these kits, you can look in the description of the video down below and use the promo code there to get a great deal on this model kit. It is a subscription type service, so you'll be receiving parts updates per month. We've got a really great update for you guys in this installment. We've got parts packs 9 through 17 to work our way through today, guys. So we're going to be really busy here on the bench. We'll get all of this done, and we're going to start you off right where we left off. We're working with the seat backs in the last one, so we can see we got our latest update booklet that accompanies each part shipment. And we're going to be working on some more seat backs today, starting off. So we've just got to basically put these two seat halves together. So we're going to do this just like it shows in the instructions here. We've got to locate our connecting pins here on the back and make sure they line up just like that and snap into place. Then we're using a couple of FP03 screws, which they give you a couple extra. So we're going to start off and find out which screwdriver fits this a little bit better, whether it's the big one or the small one. Looks like the small one this time, and we're going to just do the same procedures we've been doing before, you guys, putting a little bit of this lithium grease on these screws to keep the plastic from galling. And they'll go in there nice and easy, just like that. These particular screws have a little bit of a kind of a built-in washer or a little flange on there, so they hold that whole part in place. And I'm just really impressed, you guys, all the way through with this build. The detail and quality on this model is really good. We had a couple little hiccups with the instructions that we pointed out, and hopefully those will maybe get corrected down the line, but you can work your way around them and figure it out for yourself, or just have a look at some of the other videos of this build that are out there. But as far as the quality of this kit so far, it's been very impressive. I really like it. And okay, so this is just a quick step here on this one, you guys, for parts pack number 9. Now what you'll get, guys, I haven't really described that too much, but you'll get multiple parts packs in each shipment. In other words, it's not just, number 9. I can't recall exactly, but I think we got like maybe 8, 9, and 10 all together. So you got, they give you just enough to do to keep yourself occupied with each shipment. You got a little, maybe about a half-hour worth of work. So that's a nice little evening of entertainment working on a model. So let's move on to number, let's see, we've got 9 here, 8, 10. Oh, I guess we started on the wrong one here, you guys. Let's see, let's look at number 8. Okay, yeah, 8 has the driver's seat going together. Okay, so we actually skipped ahead one. This is starting to work on the passenger side. So let me bring the driver's seat in here. But you guys will recall this from before we set this off to the side. Now, the only thing that I'll show you that I've modified this part at all, you guys, is I really didn't like how shiny the seats were. They're supposed to be leather, and leather does have a little bit of a shine to it, but they were pretty darn shiny, So I just took some of my Duplicolor matte wheel clear coat here, just did a light dusting of that over the top, and it brought down that little bit of glaring kind of shine on there just a little bit, makes it look a little bit more like realistic leather. And so just a little modification you could do if you want to. If not, they still look fine. So we're working with this one. So now we're going to be putting this inner part in. And as I mentioned before in that last video, guys, the detail here is really cool. They had this kind of special feature on these cars where, they were designed to be in this 24 hours of Le Mans. So driver comfort in the seat was absolutely imperative, and so they went to a lot of trouble to make sure the drivers were really comfortable. So what they had is they had this kind of unique ventilation system here, where it's provided kind of hard points. I did a little reading about this. They provided kind of little hard points that kind of stimulated your nerves a little bit as you sat on it, so it kind of kept you awake almost. But at the same time, it provided a lot of air movement. So you try to keep the driver fresh throughout the race and everything, so the seat wouldn't get hot and you wouldn't start sweating and all that. So just some really neat things that they were thinking about, even back in the 60s, to make the driving experience better and give their drivers some kind of an advantage. But what we're doing in this particular step is we're connecting these two together, and I've got to see, yeah, we've got a left and a right inner seat, so I've got to get the other inner seat over here, you guys. I'll grab that real quick. Which I thought I already had it over here. Okay, it's right off to the side over here. And this is the one that will go in, and this basically just snaps in place. Once you get it just right. And all these little ringed, kind of brass ring detail pops through and comes right to the surface, and it looks really good, you guys. You'd have a hard time painting that on if that was all done in one piece like on a regular model kit and get it to look that clean, but it really looks great. Very realistic looking. Okay, and so we've got that. We just connected those two together. And it's talking about a trim piece, but it looks like it's already on there. Press the trim 8A into place on the seat, making sure it is flush around the edge. And in this particular case, it looks like it was already on there when the seat came, because I haven't put that on myself, so maybe they're just asking you to double check that, but it looks like it's good to go. Okay, so that part's actually complete. It'll show you a picture of what your completed part's supposed to look like. All right. Okay, in the back here, they're just talking about the screws that the kit comes with, explaining why they're using them for different reasons. But we'll show you a little bit of this parts update book here. Some about the history of the J project, which was the follow-up to the Ford GT, which actually wasn't very successful. Oh, you can actually see a picture of the ventilated seat right there. That's pretty cool. You can see we've got the exact same detail there, you guys. Pretty sweet. Okay, but yeah, the J project, which Ken Miles was tragically lost doing some testing of this particular car. But yeah, some really cool information about that. Okay, so let's move on now. We can skip 9 now because we've already done that. And I'm sure number 10 here is going to be putting together the passenger side seat. And that's what it is. So we've got to bring the other seat half in. And then we've got this little piece of trim that goes in between the two seats. So we're going to go ahead and get this one snapped together. And just like that. Make sure it's all the way up in there flush. And that looks really nice. Okay, and is there anything to this stage? Nope. Now they talk about the importance of a racing harness in a race car for the driver's safety. This is an actual picture of what the we'll be getting these parts in a further update here down the road, but these are some beautiful detailed driver belts that go in the car. So we're done with that one. We can move on to number 11. I told you we were going to get a lot done here, you guys. So let's see what we've got going on here. I think it's more assembly of the seats. Okay, we've got these little pieces that come in for the center section. And we have those right here. Go ahead and get those out of the bag. Some accompanying screws. Looks like we have a FP103 and an FP03 and an FP02. Okay. So we've got these little pieces that need to go in. These are kind of just basic plastic, but it's looks like pretty good stuff. And with that screw hole facing down as per the part, this kind of plugs in like something like this. So we're turning it around now, looking at it this way. Just double checking, you guys, that everything's matching up. Okay. And then they're calling you to use a FP103 just with one single screw. So we'll go ahead and get that out. Actually, that's one of these. So we have one of these left over from our last. We'll just go ahead and use that one. It's got the extra little kind of flange built onto it. And this will just, once it's all the way down tight, it's kind of an awkward part to hold together because there's nothing really holding it, but once that little flange comes down on the top of that, it straightens it all right out. Make sure it's nice and tight. There we go. Okay, so we've got that part, and that's our kind of filler panel in the center here. I believe it's something like this. Okay. Okay, now we're connecting that onto the right side, the driver's seat. The driver's seat's the one that has this extra little panel on it. And it goes like this. The curved area goes down towards the front part of the seat. I believe it goes on just like this. We're going to find out which screws they are calling for here. FP02, okay. These are just regular screws, and we're going to need 2 of those. All right. Going to take the small screwdriver this time. A little dab of grease. Let's bring this back in so you guys can see this. Yeah, that's got to be right tight up against that before it's long enough to reach it. There we go. Here. Whoops. Okay. I'm assuming we're going to repeat the same thing for the other side, but let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet. Let's see. Yep, that's exactly what we're doing. Okay, because we've got this little filler piece that goes in, some trim that goes in between those. But we're doing the connecting them together first according to the instructions. So we'll just line them up just the same way we did. Got to kind of bow this a little bit to get it to fit in the slot. Okay, another FP02 screw going in. Want to make sure you start them. When you start them, you get them started nice and straight. Otherwise, you'll be galling the plastic and they'll fit too loose. There we go. Okay, I can hear that snap when it gets in the right spot. Okay, the last screw for this assembly looks like. we go. Okay, let's see. Yep, then we're putting this little trim piece in place up top, which you can see it's got this kind of, I think that's supposed to be some kind of a, I don't know what that is, like a hatch that opens or something, but the padded part that's padded goes, you know, all the way to the front, the top of the seat. It's got like a little, you see this hook right here, you guys? That hooks over the back part here, and then you just push it straight down. Like that. Wow, that looks great. I did the same thing to the center part here, you guys, with a little bit of that dull coat. It just took it down just a little bit to where it's not quite as shiny, glossy like that. Very easy to do. And you can see there's some little slots in here where later on our belts are going to clip in place, which will add some extra detail. Okay, we're done with that one. Let's see what number 12 holds in store here. And we'll show you a little bit about what's in the book while we're here. It's got some more Le Mans racing, different information about that. Formula One Grand Prix. How Ford teamed up with Lotus to get involved in that. Okay, so now we're back to the door assembly. You guys have seen this before. We're just doing it on the opposite side this time. This is the co-driver's door, the passenger door as they're calling it. So, all right, you guys, I'm going to take a quick break here. I'm going to get these parts ready, and then we'll come back and get that part done. Be right back. Okay, so I've taken the door out of the packaging, and I just want to mention before we get going here, guys, I've done like I've done on all these external painted surfaces, I've gone ahead and waxed this with some of my really nice automotive Carnauba wax, as I explained in those videos a while back. It just helps protect the surface here a little bit. It makes it, you know, look really nice. It'll prevent, you know, fingerprints from building up on it and things like that. And just doing it now before we've got all of the, you know, all the extra stuff put on this will make it a lot easier to do, and it won't build up in any of the nooks and crannies or anything like that. So, you know, it's not something you have to do, but just a little extra thing that I wanted to do here to kind of help this along a little bit. So now we're going to be putting on this little tiny trim piece here. I think it's some kind of a light, supposed to be some kind of a light or something like that. And it goes on a certain way. You can see it's notched, so it'll only go on this one direction here. And we're going to be holding this in place with one of these 102 screws. So we've got, rather than opening this new bag, we'll just set that off to the side. We've got one left from our previous step that we just finished with. So we'll just go ahead and use that. It's great that they give you extra screws along the way. It's really easy to lose one of these. That's why you see me working on this towel, you guys. It's become kind of a popular fad around the model building community. If you kind of notice that a lot of people are using towels now instead of those hard cutting mats. I actually do have a cutting mat underneath of this, but the towel kind of, you know, helps you from losing small parts and things like that. It's just a lot more comfortable surface to work on. Plus, you're not marring, you know, it helps to not mar up all your parts and things, especially things that you've painted and all that. So it's a perfect situation for working with these little screws. Okay, so we've got that little trim piece put on there. And believe it or not, I think that's it for that step. But again, mentioning that you get several parts packs in one shipment, so you're not just doing one little thing. So let's go back to the next step here. And we were going to be, let's always give you a little look at the book. Okay, some Ford racing history about the Cosworth. I believe a lot of these were popular in racing over in Australia for both rally and Bathurst and things like that. Okay, we're putting in the side glass, the hinge, and the release handle. Okay, so let me get those parts over here. Alright, so we completed our little trim piece there on the outside of this door. Now we're going to install the glass. I already cheated a little bit, you guys, and our next little step here, 14, has this little trim piece here going on the top. I already put that on. You can see how I did that. It just snaps right in place. There's no screws required for that. So we're putting in our side glass. We want to be careful to handle this and not get too many fingerprints all over it. But it just drops right in here like this. We've got 3 of these little these are the FD03 screws. These have a little shoulder on them again, just to put that in. This is a little bit awkward to handle, you guys, because it's got the little vent window that's kind of extended a little bit there, so when you lay it down flat, it keeps wanting to push that glass back out. But let's do our best here and get one of these screws started. It takes a little while to get your dexterity and get used to handling these little tiny screws. I'm going to use the bigger screwdriver this time. Make sure you're in the shot. And we put a little bit of grease on those, and you can see they go in there, but they bottom out pretty hard, you guys. You want to make sure that that glass is completely tight, because what that does is it helps kind of keep it up against there. And you got to put a lot of pressure on it that last couple of turns, okay? Just make sure it's tight. Don't go too tight, though, and crack the glass or anything like that, but you're just going to have a feel for it. And we've got 3 of these screws that go in. Something I'm going to point out to you guys here that I noticed the first time around that kind of had me worried, but it solved itself later. I'll show you here in just a second. Get this one worked down here. And that last turn is tough. Okay, just make sure you don't slip and scratch your glass or something. All right, 1 more to go. So yeah, you guys, I'm not rehearsing these or anything before I build them. I'm building them, you know, I'm seeing the parts and the instructions the first time when I show you this on camera. That way I'm kind of getting the same experience everybody out there watching this would be that's building one of these. And so hopefully I can help, you know, if there's any minor issues along the way, I can help you guys from avoiding from some of those. And one of the ones I'm going to point out is that very issue right here. You can see that once this is all tight, you know, the first door that I built, I was concerned that this glass was not popping in all the way. You can see how you've got that nasty gap right there. And I was thinking, okay, we're probably going to have to use some kind of glue or something like that to get that to hold. But turns out during the next step here, you get this inner door panel, which has the framework around the top of the window, and that presses against that and closes that window up nice and tight for you. So I didn't know that detail was in there. I don't know if I had that parts pack yet or what it was, but so there's a little tip for you guys, not to worry about that. That glass, you know, it just doesn't want to sit in there totally flush when you first put it in. So, but definitely make sure it's totally tight down here. You want to make sure that flange is really flat up against those bulkheads right there, and then the window glass is all tightened in there. So let's see what we've got. We might be putting this in next. So let's see. Here's the book on this one, part number 13. We just got done putting in the glass. We're also putting in the hinge and some other little parts here. Let's see. But this book has some interesting information about the Cosworth Ford, some of the rally cars, like the cars they race at Bathurst, and some rally race type cars. By the time you're done, like I said, you'll have a really cool binder full of really interesting Ford racing and all about the history of this stuff. And I'm very much into this stuff, so I'm loving it. Beautiful full color pictures throughout, all kinds of text with historical information. Just really, really cool. Okay, so these magazines would be worth having just all on their own. So let's see. Okay, we're going to look at the next step here. Now, if you recall, in the first go around, also when we built this door, this is the passenger side door. We had this issue with this hinge here. Now, I've since figured out that what we did on that was the right way to go. There's 2 or 3 other people out there that I've looked at their videos, and they've had the exact same issue where 1 or 2 of them may have not have discovered it yet, but they put that hinge in the wrong way, and you can see where it's not gonna work. It's only moving a few degrees or whatever. The only way it'll move in its full motion is to have that. Let's get this out and get this so I can show you what I'm talking about here. I'm sure we're going to have the same issue on this side. Here's the flange that holds it in place. Okay, and we've got a couple of screws for that. We'll get to those, but let's put this off to the side. So we've got this basic hinge. Now, the way they told you to put it in, let's see if they show you the same thing on this go around. The way they had it laying in there was not allowing the hinge to make its full range of travel. And what I came up with is that the hinge would be, let me see if I do this the same way I did it the last time. Okay. Now this one seems to be a little bit different. It seems to be more free overall. The other one would bind a little bit no matter which way you put it in there. So my theory is that when the door is in the closed position, that these screws are going to go into the body of the car just like that, okay, not forward or anything like that, so that then the door can open. As you can see, when in that position right there, if you then take that same flat area that it would be screwed to on the body, you can see that's how far the door would open, and that makes sense. That looks just exactly how far the door should open, right? Like goes back to this position here when it's shut, goes to that position when it's open. The other way, especially on the other hinge on the other door, it had like maybe that much of a movement to it. I mean, it wouldn't do anything. So I think they got that backwards. But we're going to put this one in this way, the same way we did it on the other side, and we're going to live with it. And I won't know for sure, and if I'm right or wrong, but I think I am, until we get the actual part there where we can bolt that on or screw that on. So let's see what screw this is calling for here for this one. FD01. And that would be this guy right here. And as always, they give you extra. So I was being so careful about that in the beginning, but it turns out you should be careful, but you do get a few backup screws if you need them. Okay, so let's get a little grease on that and we'll get this bolted in. Okay. Yeah, they got that one. It's a tough one too because it's supporting the whole door there. So, okay, you want that to have. This is like a little. This metal piece that's going down is kind of almost like made out of spring steel. So it's got to have. It's supposed to have a little bit of tension on it. So like the door just doesn't flop when you open it up. It's gonna have a little bit of tension on it, so it'll stay there. You can feel it's got like a detent, so it'll either be open or shut, and it'll kind of stay there. All right, I think we're going to be good with that, but we will find out. Okay, so let's check out. Now we're going to install the this little latch mechanism right here, and this is a really delicate part that you've got to be really careful with here, you guys, because like I said, we're dealing with this little spring, and if that thing goes flying, I don't think you'll ever see it again. All right, so I'm going to try to really carefully grab it with my tweezers and put it in a safe spot for now. And then we've got this little hook bracket type thing that holds it all in place. And then we've got the latch itself, or the handle. Get that out. And that's it for that one. Okay, so if I'm trying to recall, it goes in here something like this. With the silver lever facing on the outside, I believe. Let's check this out. Okay. All right, first of all, it's backwards. It goes like this. All right. Our spring goes over the top of that, and a clamp with 2 FD04 screws. So I'm going to make sure I got these screws ready, because once we're setting this thing in here, we want to get this taken care of right away. Okay. These are really tiny screws too, so we'll be using the small screwdriver. Okay, so we got the spring that goes over top of the latch on this little shaft right here. So put that over the top of that. Then it drops down into the door. The spring is supposed to catch on the little bulkhead right there, and then this bracket's going to go over the top of that to hold it all in place. Just make sure you're not going over that last, when you put the bracket down, it's not going over the top of that that last coil on the spring or anything like that, or it'll bind. Okay, so we're gonna just start the screws and get them kind of semi-snugged up here, and then we're gonna kind of test this mechanism to make sure nothing's binding on it before I tighten it all the way up. I think that's gonna be our plan, you guys. Let's get this. This is a delicate operation. Let me, I almost need to have this door setting on top of something so it doesn't keep pushing it back out whenever I lay it down. That's what my problem is here. Believe me, the less time I spend with this spring not being secured, the more I'm worried. I want to get this locked down quick. And it's fighting me every step of the way here. All right. Okay, we're back to where we started. Oh, I just lost it again. I think I'm going to dab a little bit of grease on this, you guys. It won't hurt anything, and it'll help it sit there. It's just wanting to fall right off. There. Didn't think about that, did you? Okay. All right, let's get this. I'm going to have to hold this door up this time. Working with... I need an extra helping hand here, you guys. All right, let's get this started. And I'll feel a lot better. This is going to be easier said than done. I think I got it, you guys. Yep. Okay. Just going to take my tweezers and make sure that yep, we're clear there. That's right. Let's go for the second screw here. If you weren't very good with your fingers before you work on this kit, you will be afterwards, you guys. That's all I can tell you. Just keep, like I said, just be patient. Don't get frustrated. Sometimes I get really shaky if I've had a coffee before I start to work, or a soda. And sometimes I have better days than others, just like everybody else. But if you're ever feeling frustrated or overly frustrated, the best thing to do is just to take a break for the day and walk away and come back later. Never take it out on your model. It's not the model's fault. I'm guilty of that in my younger modeling days. Okay, so that looks like it's working properly. No binding going on. Just going to make sure that these are all the way down tight now. And that looks like it, guys. We got a nice little door latch mechanism there working. Okay, so I'm hoping that we're going to be putting this little trim piece in next because this loose window is still bugging me. Okay, so okay, that is it for number 13. We're on to number 14. Let's have a look at the book real quick. Ford GT40, the chassis. Okay, so they're talking about how these were all hand built and everything. Oh, beautiful cutaway diagram of the car. We're familiar with this part right here, aren't we, guys? We just built that a couple rounds ago. Carburetor box. Okay, we got some trim pieces going on here. So let's get that done. We've already done this one here at the top, as I mentioned. So we've got these small little insert pieces that go in on the side of the door itself before the full door panel goes on, it looks like. Get rid of that. Okay, so let's have a look. It says just store those parts until the next. Okay, so this whole step here, we just put this little piece in. Okay, so that was 14. Now we're on to 15, which I'll guess we'll be putting the rest of this door together. All right, so we're working with the back side of the door trim here. And we're putting this little guy in here first. Which I believe goes something like this. Let's see here. I had it backwards. There we go. Just like this. I had it backwards and upside down. And then it fits over that little tab like that, snaps into place. And we're using a FP 101 screw. We should have plenty of those. FP01. There we go. Let's go ahead and move all these open ones out of the way. Yeah. We don't have an extra one of those laying around anymore, so we're going to have to use these. And it's only calling for one. Okay. Back to the bigger screwdriver, it looks like. Yep. Okay, a little kind of a grab handle or something there on the interior. And then we've got this other piece that, how does this piece go in? I think we're seeing how that works on the next page. Okay, so this is just an access panel for the screws. It covers up the screws that we're finally getting to the part where we're putting this interior part in here, which is good. And I am, yeah, you gotta hook this in this little slot, I think, here at the top. Up and over. Let's try this from a different angle. You've got this little slot you can see right here, guys. It's obvious that this clip goes in there. And then you've got to push it and get it over top of the latch mechanism. What have we got that's hitting there? I'm putting quite a bit of pressure to get that to clear that. There it goes. You'll feel it snap right into place. All right. And now our issue is solved up here at the top, guys, where that glass was not all the way flush. That's been corrected with that inner panel holding it in place. So let's see, it's calling for, let's see what screws we're using to hold this in place. FD01 again. So it's these two guys right here. They drop way down inside there. Okay, that's tight. Sometimes you got to bear down on this thing a little bit, you guys. Whenever you do, just make sure you're, you know, I'm kind of holding it up a little bit here to make sure it doesn't push down. I'm not smashing that that door latch into my mat really hard and trying to break it. So whenever you're going to have to brace yourself up against this and turn these screws really hard, just make sure you're checking everything when you do that, okay? And then what happened here, I can see, is that I caught part of the door hinge. It was trapped underneath there. There, that's better. Yeah, so be careful about that too. Now we got to make sure this is still tight. Okay. All right, we're all good there. Now our little cover just snaps in place here. They say it just snaps in place. When they say snap on this kit, they mean it, you guys. It's a tough snap. Yeah. Okay, I think I got it. There we go. Little map holder pocket or something there. Neat little detail. Now this plastic here is almost like it's got some kind of a flat finish on it. It's not shiny like our seat plastic was, you guys, so I'm not going to do anything with that. That looks really good, and it actually kind of has a few little scuffs on it here and there, which actually makes it look pretty realistic, if you ask me. We might come back and you can see these little details right here, like for the upholstery, some little rivets or something that was holding that in. I'm going to go back and look and see if those were actually painted over to match the leather color in the car, if you can actually see that they were silver or something. If it is silver, we're going to come back in here with a Sharpie or something and detail these up, or some Tamiya, and detail those up a little bit, but we'll revisit that here in a little while. Okay, so the door assembly is now complete. Let's check our latch mechanism one more time. Everything's working great there. Okay, I'll turn it over and show it to you here. Got a really beautiful piece. We got all our wax on there to begin with, so we didn't smudge all that up. Our glass looks nice and clean. Now is a good time to go and wipe off any fingerprints or anything that might be on the inside of your glass. I'm going to come back too with something, a fine-tipped brush and with some silver, and I'm going to actually highlight these little hinges that are here. These are, right now they're just clear plastic, and they wouldn't have been that way on the real car. These would have been metal of some kind. So I'm going to look and see what color they were, if they were black or if they were some kind of like aluminum looking thing or something. I'm going to actually do those up too. Like I said, you can do a few little things on this kit. Not hard at all to just really bring it up a little bit, you know what I mean? And there's no harm in doing that at all. But like I keep saying too, the kit right out of the box will look perfectly fine too. So if you're not comfortable or you don't want to do any of that other stuff, don't even worry about it. It's just little You know, I'm a model builder for a long time, and I just, you know, like to add any kind of details that I can, especially when it's easy to do like that. Okay, so there's our door. Let's go on to number 16 now, and I believe we're going to getting into some new territory now, you guys. Let's see. Yeah, we've got part of the... okay, that's just... shows you that you're getting this part, so we're not doing any assembly with this step. It's the floor pan, main floor pan of the car. Okay, so we'll flip to 17. As I told you guys, we'd end up at 17. We're getting a lot done today. All right, so I am going to be seeing this as well as you for the first time. We got some more historical Ford racing stuff. Ford C100, Ford's Group C. I didn't follow all this type of racing, so I don't really know anything about this stuff, but this is just, you know, I'll get a chance to read about it later on and learn about it. So a lot of you guys out there that are into these type of cars probably know all about this stuff. But now I'll have a chance to learn more about it, so really cool. Okay, so we've got some attachments that are going on to our main floor pan, it looks like. All right, so we're all set up, ready to go for this next one. Looks like, let's see if it's got its own set of screws with it, which it does. And we've got this little aluminum plate that goes on, maybe part of the fuel system or something. We'll find out. And we want to get all of our, let me move this door out of the way. And get all of our old screws out of the way that we don't need anymore. Save those for backups. Okay. Get this opened up. These are FP01 screws. Okay. All right, so let's back up here a little bit. First thing they want us to do is put this little detail in place. Orient the part the same way they have it. Like that. Okay. So it looks like we've got one screw holding that. Yep, we're using one of these screws, the FP01. Looks like we'll use the bigger screwdriver again. Perfect. It's on there really nice. And then I believe we're attaching this onto the main floor pan. Yep. Get the part oriented the right way. And I believe this is the right rear, they said. So I'm assuming it's going to go on this side. And you've got these little clips that it sits in, just like that. That's where our screws go, okay? So, oop, I knew that was going to fool me. Didn't quite hold on just long enough. Let's go ahead and get both of these started. Really easy to over tighten these and strip them, you guys, so just The second that you feel these bottom out in this plastic, then it's time to stop. Okay. All right, we're on there nice and solid. And there's that. You can see we're starting to extend. This is the rear part of the car. This is the engine compartment. Our seats are going to go in, I'm sure, pretty soon in the next couple of installments, because we've got those all assembled. And we're probably going to get the left side probably in the next part update or so. This floor and everything's all been done in sort of a I can see here, you guys, that there's some a little bit of modelization, if you want to call it that, or it's not all a perfect finish here. So I'm going to dust over this whole thing with some of my my Duplicolor matte clear, just to make sure that's all uniform. It's a little smudgy looking. You can tell that they made an attempt to dull this down with something. See how much shinier it is on the backside. They definitely coated this with something, but you can see it's got some kind of a few little issues with that. So we're gonna, part of it's due to shipping and being in the packaging and all that, where it scuffed it a little bit. So we'll just spray a light coat of matte clear over that, and that'll straighten that right out. Okay, so I'll see you guys next time for the next update. It'll be fairly soon. I'm expecting my next park pack to come in here pretty quickly. I'll probably wait till the next two of them get here. That way we can take you through like a good at least half hour or so worth of work. So, but anyway, we got you caught up all the way from where'd we start here tonight? We started with number 8, and we're all the way up to number 17 now. So next up will be 18 and going forward, guys. We're getting into the real nitty-gritty part of the car now. Really getting excited. Thanks for tuning in. Again, check this out, you guys. It's a really awesome kit. You can check out the promo code down below in my description if you want to get one of these, and love to see your video of you building this if you decide to get one. We'll see you next time. Take care and happy modeling, everybody.